What is up, YouTube? Alex here, and in this video, I'm going to be going through the harsh truths about sports betting in 2025. The industry has changed a lot. There are things that have improved that are good for sports bettors, and then there's also things that suck. So I started sports betting literally the day online sports betting legalized in the US. In the United States, sports betting is done on a state-by-state basis. New Jersey was the first state to legalize online sports betting, and I signed up for DraftKings and FanDuel literally the day they launched. So in this video, I'm gonna go through the landscape, the harsh truths about the industry, and then I'm also gonna give you some tips if you still wanna take a shot at making money sports betting. I'm gonna give you some tips and pieces of advice. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first things first is sportsbooks have started to focus more on profitability. So for example, when DraftKings initially launched, all they cared about was getting new users, getting market share. They weren't really focused on making money, which is kind of interesting, but you can actually see it in their financials. Investors, they really didn't care about how much money the company was making. All they cared about was how many users were signing up. How much are they betting? They cared about gaining market share. And you can kind of see that in the financials. So like in 2022, DraftKings lost $1.4 billion, which is insane to think about. Whereas now, in 2025, they're pretty close to flat, right? They're basically operating the business, expenses equal profit. They're not really making or losing money. So DraftKings is starting to crack down, right? And what does that mean for sports bettors? It means the promos across sports books. DraftKings is just one example, but across bookmakers, promos have gotten worse. So I'll give you a simple example is, when I first signed up for DraftKings, they were doing anything to get new users. They gave me a promo, $5,000 to refer a friend. And I could do this for 5 people. So basically, I signed up my sister, my friends, they put in $5,000, they get $5,000 extra for free, and I get $5,000 extra for free. That's obviously an insanely good promo. It's the easiest $25,000 I ever made. But again, this is when DraftKings first launched, and they weren't really focused on profitability. Nowadays, promos still exist, but they're not as lucrative. So for example, here's a promo on FanDuel. They're offering a profit boost. So basically whatever odds you bet, you're gonna get a 30% improvement. And I found a really good play on OddsJam. You can see that right here. And guess what? It's only for a max bet size of $10. So you still get promos, but the amount you can bet on these promos has come down, as well as how lucrative they are. There's no more $5,000 refer a friend bonuses on sportsbooks that at least I've gotten in the past 3 or 4 years, because again, books are focused for the first time, they're not as focused on growth, acquiring users, they're more focused on profitability. And that obviously ends up being a bad thing for sports bettors. So again, there's just not as much easy money to make sports betting because again, sports books are trying to crack down and improve their profitability. It's no longer growth user acquisition mode. Now we're getting into, okay, we actually need to make money as a business. So along a similar vein, one thing that has gotten a lot worse on sportsbooks is betting limits. So it's very common knowledge, you've probably seen videos online of casinos banning people who count cards at blackjack, right? Casinos are private businesses. At the end of the day, they can ban you if they don't want your action. And you're seeing that on a lot of sports books. So I'll give you an example. An example is Bettor is a new fantasy app. It's a DFS book that launched a couple years ago. Last year in 2024, I cracked them pretty big. I made almost $70,000 on this book. And now they've given me not only betting limits on each individual slip, but daily betting limits. They're restricting how much I can put down every single day. So on Bettor, after I place one slip for $100, so here's a play I found today with really good value from OddsJam. I'm able to put $100 down. If I try to put in another slip, they tell me, no, your daily limit is just $100, so I can't even play anymore. It's the same thing on Underdog Fantasy, unfortunately, which is another book I had a lot of success on, is they've cut me down to only being able to bet $75 per day. So obviously that sucks if you can't get down a lot of action. Even if you can have a positive ROI and win your slips, it's not going to translate into that much profit, right? So that's another downside of sports betting that has started to occur as books get more focused on their profitability. So as sports books have started to focus on profitability more, another downside is the easiest books to beat, the ones that were super stupid, set very easy beatable lines, they've gone out of business at this point. So I'll give you an example. WinBet used to be my favorite sports book. They had great promos, super soft lines. They didn't really limit people that badly. And I ran up in 1 year. I made over $100,000 on this book. And guess what? Because it was so soft, they were so incompetent at setting lines, they're now out of business. So the stupidest sports books, and again, a stupid sports book means it's the easiest book to beat and you're able to get down decent action. All the stupid books have gone out of business. So that's another downside, right? Obviously, if the most beatable books go out of business, that's gonna make it harder for me as a sharp sports bettor to make money. Now, I do wanna be clear, it's not all bad, right? There's definitely things that have improved in the sports betting industry, and there's definitely still ways to make money. Right? I know sports books are more focused on profitability, they're limiting harder, but there's also things that have improved for the better. So I'll give you an example. Is one thing that is new bet types. So for example, same game parlays, which in general, they're pretty hard to beat. Sports books add a lot of juice into their SGP parlay odds, but that's a new thing. 10 years ago, same-game parlays didn't really exist until FanDuel launched them, revolutionized them, and now nearly every sportsbook has a same-game parlay feature. And that means there's new edges, right? If you're really good at modeling and you can exploit correlations and find inefficiencies in how sportsbooks are pricing their same-game parlays, then you can probably make a lot of money. So change doesn't always mean that's a bad thing, right? New bet types mean there's new edges, there's new ways to make money. Most sportsbooks now too have tons of live betting options, live player props, and there's a lot of opportunity betting live in game as opposed to pre-match, right? These sportsbooks oftentimes have higher betting limits when you're betting on a game as it's occurring, and there's also a lot more inefficiencies in the market like arbitrage bets and positive EV bets. So new bet types is a good thing, right? More betting options means more opportunity, more surface area for these sports books to cover, and that means more new edges for sports bettors. You just have to find them, exploit them, take advantage of sportsbook mistakes in their pricing. Another thing that has improved is, sure, a lot of stupid sports books like WinBet have gone out of business that were super easy to crack. However, in the past few years, a lot of new books have launched, including peer-to-peer betting sites, peer-to-peer betting exchanges, and also prediction markets. So prediction markets, Kalshi and Poly Market, are available in nearly every state. You can bet on sports. You can also bet on world events, which is crazy, like who's going to be president. And then there's betting exchanges, which are a little different from prediction markets, like ProfitX and Novig, that are peer-to-peer betting sites, and they're available in nearly all states, which is a good thing, right? Like, there's some sports books that are super easy to beat. They don't limit that hard, but they're only available in 1 or 2 states, so I don't do much content on them. There's a lot of sports books in Colorado, for example, that are super easy to crack, but again, they're only available in Colorado. So Novig and ProfitX, what's awesome about them as a sharp sports bettor is because they're peer-to-peer, they don't make money off you, right? Like, technically, they don't make money off you losing money sports betting. The way that ProfitX makes money is it's a peer-to-peer betting site. They just take a small fee for every bet. So long story short, ProfitX doesn't really care if you're up $1 million or you're down $1 million. If you're betting on the platform, you're making the money. So if you're up $1 million on ProfitX, you took that money from other people, right? Whether it's sharp bettors, square bettors, whatever, you took that money from other people. So long story short, these books don't limit. Even if you're up $1 million, you're never going to get limited. Your bet sizes will never be reduced, which is awesome. So you'll see tons of OddsJam customers hitting arbitrage bets between ProfitX and Novig, which are two books where you literally are never going to get limited or banned, none of that BS. You'll see them cracking arbitrage bets for $100 risk-free profit, sometimes even more, which is insane. But again, these books don't make money off you losing money. They make money by you betting and taking a small transaction fee. So those are two benefits that have come to the industry since I started sports betting, 7-8 years ago, is there's a lot of new bet types, which means new edges to exploit. And there's a lot of new types of sports books or betting exchanges and markets, places you can get down action that are way better than traditional sports books, like ProfitX, Novig, Kalshi, and Polymarket. So regardless, I hope you enjoyed this video on kind of the state of the sports betting industry in 2025. You can definitely still make money. Maybe it's a little harder to do, but it's absolutely still possible. Sports betting is one of the rare few forms of gambling where you can actually get an edge and win long term. So if you put in the work to learn about, profitable, sharp strategies like arbitrage, positive EV, middle betting, correlation, there's still tons of opportunity. But maybe the low-hanging fruit, like the super stupid sports books like WinBet that didn't really have betting limits, that's kind of a thing of the past. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment any questions as well as other video ideas. I love making sports betting content. So let me know if you have any questions, other video ideas, and let's gear up for a great NFL season. I'll see you guys.